dead, fuckers. I am the Cum Lord. Nacho Sushi. Who the fuck is that? Sounds like...
Alright, I just realized, I've been playing my intro music and never shared my screen because I cut StreamYard off right before it started because I realized I didn't have my microphone plugged in. So you had like a minute and a half of just, my screen here staring at you as I then went to my little Gilbert Godfrey intro. And now I'm just going to play the other intro because, when I fuck up, I don't really fuck up. I just roll with it.
Perfect.
All right. So, what's up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous people, you. How you doing tonight? Now, I don't have my timer working. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the link in the side chat. And we're, come on in. We got room for 9 people. Talk about the conversation I had with CJ. I've got 2 hours tonight. I've got a hard stop at 11 a.m. I'm not going to allow myself to do some 5-hour open room. I'm going to go to bed at 11 o'clock. So we've got 2 hours to talk about that conversation. Talk about Pride Month. Talk about the necessity of Pride Month. Now that, Pride Month is winding down. And I really wanted to have this conversation with CJ and felt it was vital. So looking forward to it. Come on in. I'll go ahead and pin that to the top as well, if it'll let me do it. It's acting weird. Yeah. We'll see. So that link didn't even show up in the side chat. What is going on with that? That's crazy. Is StreamYard doing that shit again? Yes, it's not letting me post the link in the side chat. Ain't that a bitch? StreamYard's done that before. That is insane. That is crazy. Alright, so let me turn on my timer. Ain't that a bitch? StreamYard, why are you acting like that? So I actually gotta open up OBS to turn on my timer to get the link in the timer. And then the timer should post in the side chat. Like, what is going on? I'm starting to really think like YouTube just doesn't like any activism when it comes to cis people being allies with the LGBTQ plus community. That's what I'm starting to think. I don't know. I might have some good reasons for thinking that, considering I've been banned or I've been demonetized for fighting homophobia. All right, so I have it up. Now I just got to get the right link in there. And that should work. So it should start posting soon. I don't know why that is happening tonight, because it had no issues last night posting the link in the side chat. But yeah, it's not letting me see if I reload it now. Neither of those links are going to be there. You know what? What I will do is I'm gonna go ahead and send Marty the link on Facebook, and then I don't know, maybe Marty will be able to get a link in the damn side chat. But the link should be posting as soon as the stream bot kicks in. I do have the timer active now with the right link in it, so hopefully that will work. I did send a link to Marty on Facebook, so we'll at least get Marty in here. We'll start this off, and it won't just be me talking some shit. Yes, I was demonetized, I don't know, about a year ago now, Monkey for Banana. And it was because I was covering hate speech, and YouTube, said that was my hate speech. So because I was battling the NIFB, I was confronting their hate speech. People like Misha Popoff, YouTube demonetized me. And now I'm fairly certain I can never get monetization back. What's up, Ann Kennedy? Always enjoy seeing you here. Longtime patron. What's up, Ann Kennedy? All right. So, Marty, I'm going to post the link in the private chat, although you can probably get to it. But just in case you can't get to it.
Do you want me to post it? Do you want me to copy it?
Try to post it into the side chat there. We had this issue with StreamYard not too long ago. I did not have this issue last night, and now all of a sudden, I did do an update on my computer today. Now all of a sudden I can't link in the side chat. So, yay.
Brett Keane tried to give me shit for coming here instead of going to his thing that he's doing right now. He sent me an email. He's like, I'm having a stream tonight. I'd appreciate your presence. I'm like, I already made plans to come on Knox stream. And he's like, you can't talk without a mob with you? What the fuck? I had plans to come here for fucking 3 days ago. Shut up.
Yeah, MathPig is saying StreamYard done a thing. It's the script. So yeah, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to update the script. That's so. Hopefully, you can post it.
I just did, but it's they would have to copy and paste it. Like they can't click the link. Let me try this. Copy link address. Let me try that. I don't know if that'll work. Paste. No, I did the same thing.
Eventually, the StreamYard will kick in, and they should be able to get the link there. So hopefully this will work. If not, it's gonna be a sucky thing. I know Lisa for Truth is itching to come in.
Yeah, dude, I was Merlin. Sorry, you were a fucking saint, staying as calm as you were. I was completely enraged with everything CJ was saying. Like, it actually stuns me that someone can be that willfully blind. Like,
yeah, it's kind of it's like with Brett Keane last night. It's like, Brett, you've seen Matt say this shit before, and it's like that with CJ. It's like, CJ, that gay people are oppressed. You just don't have a problem with it. That's the issue.
The whole well, how come there's no straight pride month? I can't tell you how many times. I'm sure you've seen memes and stuff like that on Facebook and social media. There's no straight pride month because straight people are not marginalized. That's why there's no straight pride month. How fucking dumb you gotta be to ask something like that?
And like every day is
literally every day is straight pride.
Yeah, straight pride.
So,
and Puff, I was able to get Lisa. I have cleaned out my emails recently, and I'm not seeing an email for you, even though I have 489 emails currently, so I need to clean them out again.
I dropped the link in chat, so in the side chat.
All right, cool. So yeah, if you was able to do it,
Okay.
can I see it, Puff? Though, can I see it though? I don't see it in the side chat.
I just did a copy and paste, so they would have to copy and paste for him, but it's
See, I
from
don't even
there.
see that. I don't see your copy and paste, Marty. Like this is fucking crazy.
I mean, it's there.
I'm
But
really
yeah,
hoping like Streamlabs has kicked on now, so eventually Streamlabs will put the link in the side chat.
but yeah, there was so many things that he was that he was saying that was just. I mean, I can't. It blows my mind that somebody can live in this country. And he was talking about like Stonewall and all the things that led up to essentially Stonewall, like Harvard Milk and shit. Like it was back in the fucking Stone Ages. This shit was not even 50 years ago. What are you kidding me? Like
Uh,
it was the Stonewall riots were in 1969 to like 72 or 3 or something. I think. Wait,
all right.
wow.
MathPig just suggested to put it in the description, so I'm doing that right now. But yeah, when he originally made the claim that his claim was homosexuals aren't oppressed in America, my initial reaction is, what America do you fucking live in? Like,
I know, right?
where do you live?
Yeah,
Like,
But
yeah.
my thing is that it was like, I don't know. I get this. I know I'm weird, right? I'm like a super crazy weird person, but I get this vibe, like this nationalist vibe from CJ, because like with the thing he brought up the massage parlor shooter in Atlanta, right? But he was really couched about it because he didn't want Knock to remember why that guy went on a shooting spree.
Because he was targeting Asian. He was targeting
Yes.
Asian. Dude, I
It
lit.
wasn't because he was a sinner and he had a
Yeah,
sex issue. It was because
no.
he was a hateful racist and he wanted to hurt Asian people
And
because Donald Trump told him to.
he didn't just go to 1 to 1. He hit like a couple of them, I think, right?
Like two or
Yeah,
three, if not four of them. He
yeah,
went from one to the next, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing is that he didn't do that. Just like the guy in the Pulse Club shooting, right? He didn't do that because he was a Muslim. He didn't do that because of you know he just was a violent just because he was a violent person. Of course he had to be a violent person to do that, right?
Yeah.
But he did that because he viewed himself as a heteronormative male in America, and that Donald Trump was telling him that, or the powers that be on the Republican side, they were telling him, hey, these minorities and these gay people, especially these gay and transgender people, they're what's making your society suck.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you could just get rid of them, your life would suck a whole lot less.
Yep.
all right. Sorry, I just told the chat to refresh. And then I misspelled stream. I just did it again. I did it on the wrong one. I did it on the Premiere. So now you should be able to refresh and you'll get the link. Just ignore that I misspelled stream there. But yeah, like CJ does that with everything. Like if we're talking about God, he's gonna talk about Star Wars, right? Like it's he's got to. It's like he uses other reasons to justify why he feels a thing about this thing, and that's the thing that I've got to get past with CJ is I've got to get him to see, like, dude, that just doesn't work. It just really doesn't.
Because you know what it is I think that CJ has in his head, he's convinced himself, right, that like hatred and bigotry, right, is something that is akin to your sexuality or your gender, right? Your gender expression. Is it in that you don't have a choice of how you feel about it, right? But
Yeah.
we know that bigotry, you know, Knock, and as well as I do, that bigotry is something that's taught to you and that you have to reinforce in yourself on a continuous basis. Otherwise, you start to shed it because you start to see examples that go directly counter to your bigotry.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I used to be a bigot, but anyway, let's let's go into the psychology, because I've been wanting to do the goddamn psychology of this shit. Okay, people. There's a actually there's a neurological reason, but you can call it a psychological reason, that people are trans, that people are homosexual. It is in the fucking brain. You can't help it.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not a choice. There's no,
that's-
it's not a choice.
That's what I tried to like, because he's like saying basically, and he even brought up Milo Yiannopoulos, and I mean, like
Yeah.
such a tragic example. Milo was molested by one of his Catholic priests, and he blames himself for it, right? Like, it's just such a tragic example to use. But we're talking about what a human being is attracted to, not the sexual habits they pick up through time. Those are two very different things. And CJ's young, but he ain't that young, unless he truly is a Christian waiting for marriage and he's just never had sex before.
I thought he was married.
I don't know, maybe. I have no idea. Like, I don't know.
I thought he was married.
I assume he lives in his parents' house. I mean, that's just
Well, the
that's
thing
just me.
here's so like CJ is one of those Christians that does what I call because they say the veil of ignorance, right? Like if you're young and you have that veil of ignorance, God doesn't look so badly upon you, right? But really, I think I view it as that veil of ignorance is a weapon that they shield themselves with, right? So he can fall back into this, oh, I don't know, act like they never heard of these things you're talking about. They're unfamiliar with them. That way they can just immediately brush them aside and say, oh, I don't have to deal with it because I don't know anything about it. And therefore, I can't take you as a word because, knock, you're bad about it. You always give them, hey, if you don't believe me here, then you don't have to take it right now, but look it up yourself. Whereas I would have that shit ready to go when he's like, oh, well, I don't know about that. And then he has to look at your avatar, right? And suddenly your avatar isn't your avatar. It's the information, the factual information you're citing. You know what I mean?
About the Uganda thing, he was like, "Oh, I've never heard of that. It's terrible what they're doing over there.
I
Terrible."
brought up the Uganda thing completely off the cuff at my brother's house, so I didn't have my information here. Yeah, I probably could have Googled it midstream, and that was probably a short-sighted part on mine. But that's something like here at my place. I'm actually building a video towards, talking about what's going on in Uganda. So, like, had I been here, I could have really went into Uganda. But because I was at my brother's house, I brought it up off the cuff, and he was able to kind of skirt his way out of it a little bit. It doesn't take away the fact what's happening in Uganda, but you're exactly right. I should have had that on hand, ready to go. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I would do what I'm not gonna name names, but I've learned this from other what people would call highly effective debaters. Right? I don't care. They're just people that can make people stammer and stutter and lose their position and stuff. When they're just fucking selling you a lot of shit. But what they do is they load up a particular. They make a file in their Google Drive with all the hit list shit that they know. Like, knock, I'm sure you can name at least a 10 point bullet point of here's the hit list of 10 things I know every apologist is going to bring up when I go about this particular subject,
Oh yeah, I've got literal files. So I'm like really old school when I'm researching and I'm taking notes and shit. I don't put it into my computer. I handwrite it. So I have literal racks of files of handwritten shit filed by category and yes.
Do you have
10 best
problem?
arguments of apologetics, 10 best arguments of teleology. I do that. I'm kind of a dork.
So my question is this: do you have any problem using a Wacom?
What is that?
Okay, it looks like a tablet, right? It looks like a tablet but closed, right? Or flipped down on its face, and it's got a pen that you use with it, but the pen is not battery powered or anything. It's just static, but for some reason it works with them. And basically they're for drawing and stuff like that. But I've also seen like older writers, they'll use it as just like they're just writing on it. Like it's a big piece of paper and they're constantly.
That would be it. So if it's like, if it feels like writing, because like how in computers when you're writing, it doesn't really feel like writing. But
Oh no,
yeah,
no, this is
if I
like
could get a
this
device
is a
that feels like writing, yeah, I would totally do that.
yeah, it's a pen on a medium. It's pen on a medium, so it feels
Yeah.
like you're like writing with like almost like a felt tip
Yeah,
pen. It
yeah,
has that
I'll look
scratchiness like
into
a
that
felt tip,
definitely, because
and they're not.
that would save me so much time, honestly.
And it would literally be basically a picture file of your handwriting of all your notes that you wrote down.
Yeah, I would love that. Honestly, I've never, I've never really looked for anything like that. We have tablets. I have my computers, but yeah, that would be interesting because I am old school and it's from coming up in the '80s and '90s as a writer. I've always handwritten my stories, and then typed them into the computer. That it's just OCD now at this point. It's like a habit that's almost impossible to break.
Well, it's like my grandpa, right? He was alive right at the end of the typewriter age, the beginning of the full blast computer age, right? And what he did, he went and got one of those brothers typewriters that plugs into your computer. So at the same time he was typing it, and it was like click clack clack click click clack clack click click clack clack. It was recording it into a text file.
So anyway, I just want to give a message of hope out there. I'm serious. I was a fundee. If I can change, anybody can change. Even fucking Steven Anderson can change. Not that he will, but
Well, and that's what I say, Lisa, and that's always been my hope. For people like Matt, and for like CJ's nowhere near as bad as like a Matt Powell. I think CJ has been indoctrinated since he was a young kid. I think he's deeply influenced by his family. That comes from just. I think I'm blocked on Facebook now, but for a while we were Facebook friends, and I saw some of this shit. He definitely believes in the sovereign citizen movement. He's a big L libertarian, but I was an extreme homophobe in my early 20s. Extreme. I thought it was unnatural. Even after I stopped believing in God, I thought it went against the laws of nature. Was one of the things that I used to go around spitting out of my asshole. Right?
it wasn't until I
Yeah.
learned that gender was actually in the brain and not what's between your legs.
When Matthew Shepard was brutalized and murdered, that really started to open my eyes, and I was able to start changing. So that's my thing. My approach has always been to try to reach that emotional outrage part of a human, and I do that by insulting and yelling at them. But I think I didn't gain much ground, but I think being calmer and really just going into CJ and just like challenging all of his points, even if I didn't do it correctly. Like there was a couple times I was like, I could have done this way better. I think that was a far better approach, and we even saw it. Like CJ had to, by the end of it, give ground. Oh yeah, there is some oppression here, but let me tell you why I still don't like gay people.
That's basically what it was. It was basically him saying, "I don't like gay people, and I'm pissed that they want to be. I don't like gay people, and the fact that they want to marry and do what I can do. They want special privileges. It's not special privileges when everybody has the same thing, and the group that's marginalized says, hey, we want that too. It doesn't become special. Special privileges is like churches not paying taxes. That's a special privilege.
Well, what's that saying that somebody said a while back? If you're used to privilege, then equality seems like oppression.
Okay, we're going. Anyways,
Yeah. What's up, Tanya?
oh, nothing much. I figured I'd come in. I watched the tail end of this, of the premiere with good old CJ, and it was very interesting.
Infuriating.
Well, yeah, it was infuriating for you. It was infuriating for you. I get that. For me, as a bi man, it was definitely interesting as well.
Yeah, I think CJ represents a good swath of America. They don't understand a thing, so they go out of their way to justify the mistreatment of a thing. And he's definitely not a Matt Powell or even a Smokey Saint. Like I literally heard 3 nights ago, Smokey Saint just being homophobic as fuck. I mean, homophobic as fuck. CJ, I've never heard him be homophobic.
Oh, dude,
He argues for his positions, but his positions are homophobic.
Rage,
Hey.
rage. Trust me.
He's got potential.
Okay, I wanted to say something really quick, but all right, whatever.
Oh, go ahead, Minute.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say, trust me, Smokey. Smokey is nothing compared to Black Mamba or Mantra. What the heck is that guy's name? Black Mantra. I don't know, but
I'm not sure.
I don't know, but
I mean, I'm gonna be conversing with Smokey and all of that shit, but like, no, the dude is definitely a homophobe. What I saw 2 nights ago, there's no denying. You might have been in that stream. It was on Will Kincaid's stream. I think you might have been in there when they were going all homophobic. You weren't, but
Well,
they were.
all I'm gonna say is this: is that people do not want anybody that's going out there. Just let them be homophobic or whatever, because right now, the end of June and into the first 3 weeks of July, you're gonna see the purge going on. Because right now, YouTube is they're in reaction mode, right? So
what are you talking about?
they're getting rid of a lot of channels right now because of the Gay Pride Month and everything like that. They're going after channels that are basically have up till now been allowed to fly under the radar, right? So these religious channels that are being really, really hateful and shit like that, they're getting taken out. They're also going through and they're purging a lot of channels that are out there with people just doing shit that they shouldn't be doing, right?
The purge.
I mean, YouTube has done that periodically through its history.
Right now they're getting rid of a lot of.
I mean, they had got rid of fucking Steven Anderson.
Well, I mean, they got rid of Steven Anderson, and the lesser channels, they changed their rhetoric. So, all of these channels were getting taken down, especially because of the pumpkin movement and the work that Mr. Atheist was doing. That dude did some great work when it came to the NIFB. He got a lot of their channels down. So what the lesser channels like the Matt Powell's and the Ben the Baptist have done is they've stopped using that direct homophobic language. Now they say it in other ways now. They still say it, and then they point their people to BitChute, where they can just go off the cuff and say the old words, as they like to say. You know what I'm saying?
I really have a quick question. Isn't it possible that in their own strange way, they care about the LGBT community and don't want them to suffer for all eternity?
No. Are you fucking they give a fuck about anytime any of these fucking lunatics are like, well, I just want you to be safe from your wicked lifestyle. And you don't give a fuck about me, first of all. Second of all, it's not a lifestyle. And third, you're just fulfilling with the Great Commission, what the Bible says you're supposed to do. So you don't actually care. They don't actually care. They're just doing what they're told to do.
Well, I think they care in a way that's not. I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Marty. They care in the sense that they think that these people are doing something wrong, and if they can get them to comport to their understanding of what they find icky, quote unquote,
that's what it is.
Then they're doing them a favor. I haven't actually.
That was my point, by the way.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to that conversation, but I'm just kind of curious because this was something that I found that was interesting with Praise, is that Praise almost every time I hear Praise talk about homosexuality, he almost always brings up anal sex as in direct
we know what's on his mind
correlation with homosexuality.
He's thinking about that booty.
Yeah, and I'm like, you have to understand that, for lesbians,
that's homosexual sex. When two women have sex, it's homosexual
and I know lots of heterosexual men that I know in the military and even after the military that love the idea of having anal sex with women, not with other men.
Yeah, I mean, who was Wujita, who used to come on the channel a long time ago?
Oh, I remember him.
Cis dude. Yeah, he loved the anal. He loved the anal.
Well, one thing I've always said is, listen, if you truly believe that all gay people are going to suffer for eternity, the least you could do is let them get married, like bare minimum.
Well,
no,
I've always maintained if you want to
restricted,
punish gay
that's a
people,
hollow.
let them get married, right? Like,
Let gay people be as miserable as heterosexual people. That's the
Personally-
ultimate punishment.
Personally, whenever the people I've run into or the people I've seen do that, oh, well, I'm just trying to save you.
Yeah,
It's just
get the fuck
they're
outta
just
here.
being they're just being what the British would call cheeky bastards, right?
Rage
Cheeky
just reminded me of a line in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. To have an affair, that is French. To be caught having an affair, that is American.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know why anybody would care what you do in your own goddamn fucking bedroom. It's nobody's
Because their
well,
bedroom
watching
sucks.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
and you
doing
don't know
some
what
like
you're gonna do.
crazy shit to children in your bedroom, I definitely care about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the only thing, though. That's the
You got to
only
qualify
thing.
that. You got to qualify that with consenting adults, Lisa.
Yeah.
If it's between consenting adults, thank
Well,
you, Jay. If it's between
Well,
consenting adults,
real
who
real
the
quick,
fuck cares?
real quick, I do need to send a great thank you to Ann Kennedy. She just donated $50 to my PayPal account. Thank you so much, Ann Kennedy.
Dude.
Always a strong supporter.
Because if Chaos Theory is listening right now, he's like, "What happens if it's a consenting adult and their dog?"
Homosexuality doesn't lead to sex with pets. That drives me crazy when people think that.
Marty, you
I'm
need
Kick me out,
convinced.
kick me out. Yay.
They think that Satanry leads to sex with animals. You know, like I get accused of sex with animals from Christians all the time because I'm the raging atheist, and I mean, you heard old Tangelo. I can't know right from wrong. You know, and other Christians just take it that next extra step. Like I can't know right from wrong, so obviously I'm fucking a dog.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to say about y'all's debate. I noticed that CJ brought up polygamy, as they always do when it comes to gay marriage. And personally, as long as you're consenting adults, I feel like you should. As long as
I
everyone's
mean,
consenting adults, they should be able to
straight
get
people
married.
do that also. I don't
Wait,
get it.
Yeah,
real quick.
polygamy and
Hey,
polyamory are two different things.
Wait, hold on.
Two different things.
Knock. Next time Otangelo ever says that, just tell him, yes, I can know the difference between right and wrong. If he says, well, how? Because I know red light means stop, and I know green light means go. So fuck off.
Then he's just going to say,
simple,
"But
right?
how do you know?" You know, and then he's going to try to get real technical.
Well, then there's going to be a
Emphasis
lot.
on try.
Then he needs to look at the statistics of how many atheists get in fucking accidents as compared to fucking believers.
Well,
Yeah, because Christians know they need to stop at a red light, but an atheist would not know that.
Jay, I'm kind of interested.
Being a red light.
Jay, I'm kind of interested in your perspective. So, like, CJ spent a lot of time arguing that marriage isn't a right, right? And
Dumbass.
I kept using the wrong word. Like Christians can get married. Why can't gay people? I should have been using cis that entire time. But
no, what you should just say is, what exactly is it about marriage that actually makes marriage what it is, other than kind of a socially agreed upon arrangement? Now, you can have marriage, and this is something that I've brought up to Christians in the past. I'm like, did you think that homosexuals could never get married? And they go, well, no, they couldn't. And I'm like, wrong. People can have a ceremony. You could before homosexuality, before you had same-sex marriage be legalized in this country, people could have ceremonies where they betrothed themselves to one another without it being recognized under any law.
That's a wedding. That's a gay wedding.
The thing is that there's certain.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. You're breaking up.
Oh, am I?
No.
Oh, I thought I was breaking up.
No, you're doing great.
Me, you
Yeah,
are. I don't know if it's
it's the benefits that come along with marriage that's
Yes.
the issue, not
There's
the
a legal-
marriage. Yeah.
There's something about our society that recognizes a legal statute of people being joined in these kind of spousal arrangements where you get certain spousal rights, right? You get benefits and stuff like that. This is what same-sex couples were missing from being married, that heterosexuals were not. So the point of the matter is, so the question is whether or not you actually had true equality across the board when it came to the aspects of the law, what's legally recognized, so that if there was any kind of dispute when it came to like next of kin, right? So if you have a same-sex couple and one of them dies, now all of a sudden even though they had a ceremony, because it wasn't legally recognized under the state law, they can't they're not recognized under the law as having spousal privilege. So they now have to fight for any kind of spousal privilege, and they normally would lose, and spousal privilege would go to next of kin that was normally like a blood relative, like brothers and sisters and family, those that kind of relationship.
Sally Ride had to do. That's what happened to Sally Ride's partner. Sally Ride was with someone for like 30 plus years, and when she passed away, her partner wasn't entitled to any of her benefit. They were together for 30 something. They were married.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of these I'll say bigots because just to be blanketed, they don't understand the difference between same-sex wedding and a marriage. A wedding and a marriage are two separate things. The marriage is the relationship.
Right.
The wedding is the ceremony. Your marriage is the relationship that you have. It's the love, it's the trust, it's the commitment. That's heterosexual Christians don't have the corner market on that. So it's 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Marriage, they're two different things. So they seem to be against same-sex weddings because that's the big thing that they have a problem with.
Weddings are a waste of money.
Well, the cornering of the market is on the heterosexual aspect of it, whether or not it's legal or not. That was the problem. That was the main issue.
Right.
So the heterosexuals had the market. So it didn't matter if you were Christian. It didn't matter if you were Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. It didn't matter. It was the fact that you had heterosexual marriage where there were certain spousal rights that were imbued upon partners that were not being imbued upon same-sex partners, regardless of whatever their religious beliefs were. It was based on sexuality. So you didn't have this equality that was being seen across the board in the law. And the problem is that what happened was when you started seeing homosexuals fight for this kind of legal recognition, what happened is for some weird fucking reason, and I don't know where, I saw it a lot in North Carolina when this stuff was coming about too.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
All of a sudden they started going, these people are getting better. They're getting more. For some weird reason, I couldn't figure it out, but people started thinking that these people are getting more than what we would get if we were getting married.
Yeah, and I don't get that.
We weren't fighting for special privilege. We were fighting for the same right.
Thing.
The same exact thing.
Exactly.
And that's
what they're missing.
And that's what it is. Like when you're talking about oppression doesn't always have to be this in-your-face brutal thing. Oppression can be behind the doors of every household in America, right? Like, and so when it comes to marriage, yes, they people have been finding ways to get married in America outside of the law for a long time. Back in the day, it was Native Americans and non-natives because the United States government didn't recognize marriage of Native Americans, right? So we have been doing this for a long time, but it's those benefits under the law when you deny it to a certain sect of people. Well, that's where the oppression comes in.
That's when you have to start questioning the equality across the board. And you're right. What you're talking about isn't really an oppression under intent over overt intent. It's almost like a silent oppression because for some weird reason, it's like, oh, that's fine if these people aren't getting these rights because, well, they're just not adopting to the norms that we understand in the society that we've lived in. So that's fine if they're not getting what we get. And that's the problem. And then as soon as homosexuals started fighting for the same thing that heterosexuals take for granted, all of a sudden heterosexuals, not all obviously, but some, all of a sudden started seeing that as, well, why are these people getting more than that? And then that turned into a shitstorm. And the next thing you knew, you had people there were a couple guys that I worked with in North Carolina. They were saying, oh, well, if you allow this, it was a slippery slope argument to the extinction of the human race.
No, because not all people are attracted to the same sex.
Exactly.
Just
But
like
they
not all people are
Well,
they
attracted
thought that
to the
you
opposite
they
sex.
and
thought that you could choose.
CJ kind of got into that argumentation tonight because he was trying to argue that homosexuality is a preference. So if you allow society to be open to it, then more and more people are going to develop this preference, and eventually there's going to be no more babies. He didn't go that far with it, but that's where the argumentation leads.
Oh wait, okay. So
That is
when
a
he says
dumb fucking argument.
when he says a preference,
It's better than time to say,
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. When he says a preference, so is it more like it has a preference? Like as a preference, I prefer wheat bread over fucking white. What the fuck does he mean there?
Yeah, that's pretty much what he means. You know, like-
I will consume both. This is worse. That's worse than the art. That's worse than like in Spartacus when the guy tells Spartacus there are those who prefer oysters over clams and those who prefer clams over oysters. I, however, am a connoisseur of both clams and oysters. So his preference was both. This is from
and yeah.
This is from the director's cut of Spartacus.
No,
And by the logic, I, who do not like clams, eventually, because clams are available, I'm going to fucking love them. Right?
Oh, God. He's thinking about preference and how it's an acquired taste. And he was basically saying everybody kind of starts out gay, but once you sleep with somebody of the same sex, then you automatically decide you're going to acquire that taste and become what the stupid.
No,
I'm
yeah.
curious.
Well, it's kind of like
Does this dude promote conversion therapy?
Yes,
Yes.
he fucking
Yeah.
does.
We got
says
into
it.
that. Yeah, we got into that.
He's one of those people that's like, no, Mike Pence does not. Mike Pence does not financially support gay conversion therapy camps where they physically abuse people.
It's not that bad. It's just counseling. Are you fucking shitting me? It's just counseling.
No,
you fucking torture kids in conversion therapy. Get out of here with that bullshit.
One of the camps that one of the groups, I'm sorry, that he supports, they had a camp where 3 or 4 kids ended up getting shipped off to the hospital non-responsive, right? And they didn't even get in trouble till the 4th kid.
Hold on. Speaking of conversion therapy gone wrong, I see P Mars is in the stream.
Pete Mars, where do you stand on this issue? I'm curious. Gay marriage.
P Mars probably hates gays.
I love gays. but I don't
What
know.
about gay marriage?
Well, I don't
There we
really
go.
care about marriage so much, but I just like I think for adoption, I think children should have like a mother and father.
Okay, so what about the statistics that show that kids that come from same-sex marriages are more successful on average?
Actually, the data shows no difference either way from hetero or same sex.
Wait,
As
Marty.
long as there's
Wait,
Or
Marty,
what
I got
about
to interrupt. So he just brought up a prime example of preference. So his preference would be that if a child were adopted, the child should be adopted by a man, should have a mother and a father to adopt, or an adopted mother and father. But let's say you don't have, if you have a child that's willing, that hasn't been adopted for a long time, and you have a caring same-sex couple that's willing to adopt this child, will your preference change, or is the preference become a requirement?
Yeah, I mean that's what I want to know. If they're willing to adopt a child who has not previously been adopted and been in the adoption system, and I have heard that the adoption system is just majorly fucked up. So,
For everybody, yeah, it's somewhat it's pretty hard to actually adopt a child, and there are a lot of children in the system that desperately need to be adopted, and some of these are problem children that parents you need the right parents for them, and you don't need to be limiting the pool of people that are willing to be those parents. That would be my thing when it comes to adoption. I don't care. I don't care what your sex is. What I care about is what you're going to be able to provide for that child, right?
Look at the PMARS adoption agency. It's not about your parenting skills, your financial ability to take care of the child or feed them or clothe them. It's about, do you have slot A
Well,
for tab A. All right.
Let's hear P Mars out because
Yeah, I want to hear this. I'm curious.
I honestly think that we need to hear people and then try to
I just prefer to shout.
maybe slide them in our direction, and if we can't do that, then we just take a shit. I kid. I'm just fucking around. But yeah, I would like to hear your side, P Mars. Like, what's the issue with same-sex couples adopting children, considering the fact that we have a hard time getting children adopted as it is?
Well, I mean, it's just my opinion, right? But I just think that it's important for children to have like a good male role model and a good female role model and like a good example of like how a man should treat a woman, and that's what the parents should provide. Obviously, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, but not always. Yeah, but not always in a heterosexual couple. Do you even get that?
Yeah, really.
It depends on what you define as a good role model for. Not every heterosexual coupling is a prime example of how a man could treat a woman. So that can be problematic as well. And again, if you have this preferential treatment, then you have to try to. Does your preferential treatment should now become legalized to where preferential treatment should go towards heterosexual couples to be able to adopt as compared to same-sex couples to be able to adopt? And then how do we look at this preferential aspect under the equality of law to whether or not the rearing of children that are desperately in need of caregivers can just be overlooked and say, no, we'll just keep them in a system, in the adoption system, because they're not getting that preferential. They're not getting into that preferential zone that they need to be in because we don't want to put them into this other area where they could be taken care of by same-sex couples.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say like your position is a bad one, honestly, because it is the traditional position. It's what we've heard our entire lives. The sad reality for that tradition is we do live in new times, and we do have a lot of new data, and sometimes having that uber fucking alpha male figure in your life as that role model for a young boy, we are certainly able to see now is not necessarily healthy. And on the flip side of that, we see single parents raising successful children. We see same-sex parents raising successful children. And there are so many different models of parenting now that people are experimenting with. I personally, I don't use the model that my parents used. I don't spank my child. And yet I have had what I have found to be better results. My child will come to me. She will talk to me. I would never do that with my dad. Dude. My dad would beat my ass if I told him anything. You know what I'm saying? So,
dude, the model of preferential treatment from my family was like a piece of driftwood. No, I'm just kidding.
So a
frying pan.
I never want to dismiss the traditional sense of how it's always been done, but I do want to argue against that traditional sense because that traditional sense, in its way, has bred a society of fucking monsters and inept human beings. We can do better. You don't have to torture your children, and it doesn't have to be this dynamic to where you need a man and a woman in a household, because we have seen with our own eyes, we have observed that it can work in various numbers of ways.
Well, let me ask you this, P. Mars. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that gay married couples can't adopt. Would you support them then?
I don't really. I mean, I do support. I think gay people should be able to get married. Because the examples about inheritance and stuff, I guess, right? It should go to their significant other.
Next of kin, just all the benefits that come along with marriage. And then, my opinion is gay people should be as miserable as straight people. Like, seriously.
But what Mars is bringing up is actually kind of an interesting thing because let's say you have a same-sex couple and one of the couples was in a heterosexual relationship before and got sole custody of their children and then entered into a same-sex relationship, and then the children were in this relationship with their biological mother, and let's say it's a lesbian relationship, and so now the children have been raised by their biological mother and her same-sex spouse, but the same-sex spouse isn't recognized under the law, but they've always known their mother's spouse as as another parental figure. Now all of a sudden, what happens after, and let's say something happens to their mother, the biological mother, what rights does this spouse have to those children? Zero.
Yeah,
So
and
what kind of
what
conflict
happens?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what happens to a lesbian couple who one of them is the biological mother of their own child, but their partner can't adopt their child? I mean, that's just idiotic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not arguing for laws or anything, but like in a perfect world, I just think it's best to have. In a perfect world, it's best to have the biological mother and father.
But that's how these things are adjudicated. They're adjudicated by legislation. In order to enforce these kind of things, in order for them to be seen equally across all boards, you are talking about living in a society where the laws have to recognize these particular things across the boards, because they can't just be arbitrarily adjudicated or you're just going to have mass hysteria. There's no way to assess where these children go without these particular laws in place to actually say, okay, yep, this particular person has died. They go on to be with the spouse that they were with.
Yeah, and we cannot ignore, because I know, like, a lot of Christians. I'm not saying UP Mars, but a lot of Christians will kind of try to put abortion off as this atheist thing that non-believers do. But we cannot ignore that, this religion or this country is primarily made up of evangelical Christians, and these evangelical Christians cheat on their spouses, and they have illegitimate children, and then these illegitimate children are either being aborted or put into the adoption service because of pressures.
A hot topic.
Yeah, like because of pressures, that these people would face for even owning up to the adultery and now a bastard child. And we have an issue to where our adoption services are overloaded, and abortion is out of hand, I would say. But at the same time, there's the dynamic of this religion putting pressures on men to be what they're not, which is human beings that fuck, right? Like, and they fuck around on their wives. Like, this is literally why I've never been married. I've always been honest. I fuck. I'm not going to make this lifelong commitment to somebody because I fuck. It's.
I understand.
I don't really like this whole marriage concept. To me, is ludicrous. I don't own somebody. They don't own me. They don't own half my shit. I don't own half of theirs. We can be adults and we can come together and do our thing. But I don't know. It's just, if you're going to allow it, then it's just common sense to allow it for everyone, unless it's like, something really bad. And we consider incest bad. We consider polygamy bad. For whatever reasons there, although that's a nuanced conversation. And definitely, as I said in the video and in the conversation with CJ, I don't want pedophiles marrying children,
Yeah, I agree with that. For sure.
Well,
but
here's
Mars, there's a fundamental flaw in your argument, and that is that in some cultures, a lot of Native American cultures specifically, although there are other cultures that have this, the child is only thought to be biologically related to the mother. The father has no right to the child whatsoever. None. in these societies, it's usually the village that raises the children, and not the not the individual mother, and definitely not the father, because, like I said, they don't even recognize the father has any rights at all.
Some Native American cultures have gay marriage and adoption as well.
And that's true too. You
Yep.
know.
A lot of Native American cultures, not all, accepted it completely. Like if you could be a trans Native American and you're a trans woman and you're hanging with the women, right? Like it was life. Not in every culture, but in a lot of them.
Well, my thing is this. So here's the question, P Mars. So if it's like, okay, without the millions of dollars, but it's like you got like a Kurt Cobain and uh now that I want to say her damn name, I can't say her name.
Courtney
Uh
Love.
Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain couple, right? Versus, your average mild mannered Gary and Steve, right? So uh you would still prefer that the Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love, like H Town Express couple get the child than mild mannered Gary and Steve?
They would get their application would be at the top of the pile because they're heterosexual.
I mean, I'm sure you can find like moral dilemmas where there are examples where it'd be better to be raised by a gay couple than like
Well, I'm just
really
saying,
abusive heterosexual couple. But
even if it's Sarah
I
and
just think it's,
Sue,
I would say
whatever,
I'm
just saying in a perfect world. I don't want to legislate it or force it.
But in a perfect,
I would definitely say
I'm not really disagreeing with you guys. I just think in a perfect world, like
why would you need adoption in a perfect world, though?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't live in a perfect world, but I would
that's
definitely
my point
say
is I just think it's important to have
if most males in this country were honest about their upbringing and a cis dynamic, and we were completely honest about the fucking torture we received as children, the pain and suffering we went through as children because our parents were allowed to beat our fucking asses. Like if we were truly honest about that, this wouldn't even be an issue.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everyone's got mommy and daddy issues, so it's not like
I'm just talking about like how they could beat our like you're younger than me, P Mars. I'm 43. Yeah,
but
my dad could fuck us up.
My dad did fuck me up. When I got in trouble, my dad used to beat the shit out of me. So
my
dad didn't hit me. My mom hit me.
Expectations of being the man of the house and that biblical crap.
Has anyone here ever been told?
Ones. I did get spanked, but I didn't get spanked all that often. And
I never got it as bad as my brother. My brother is like a literal genius IQ wise. So in school, he already knew what they were teaching, so he would talk and he'd get in a lot of trouble, and he got spankings out the ass. I never got it. I was in my bedroom reading fucking Tolkien.
Hey, I gotta get going. Y'all take care.
Bye, Germania.
All right, Germania, have a good night, man. I will read your email and respond as soon as the stream is over.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
I'm interested to hear it. All right, bye.
Bye.
You guys got it easy. My father routinely reminded me that he would, without any passion, just snuff me out if it was necessary.
I was told that. My dad told me that. No problem.
I brought you into this world, boy. I'll take you out of it.
I'll take you out. That looks just like you.
Tell me this Matt is not Matt Powell.
I hope it is.
I know that you probably got this one too. Go ahead and pick up that phone. Don't even tell him to bring the police or the ambulance. Tell him to bring the coroner.
Damn, I didn't get that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I consider my dad to be mild in that era, right? Like most of my friends were coming to school with black eyes,
Yes, I literally I've been at a friend's house when his dad was like, "Put him up," and I'm like, "What? We're eating dinner. You guys are about to get down? Like, what's going on?" My friend is getting beat up right now by his dad. I'm gonna keep eating this broccoli.
Yeah, because you couldn't talk about it, right? Because back then you didn't talk about shit that happened in the household,
What happens at the dinner table stays at the dinner table.
Well, I agree with what Slade's said about Christian the earlier Christian church kind of started oppressing women and
Hold on,
with
what?
the, like
Well,
the
some
They
Christian
started
church.
oppressing women?
still oppress women.
Yeah,
I'm
people in
tired of
church.
Well,
How?
actually,
I want to hear this.
actually,
with the Stephen
at,
fucking Anderson.
actually, to Pimar's point, at first the first Christians didn't. It did
Well, that's
come
what I was gonna
later.
say. I was
It
gonna
did
say
come
that,
later
yeah.
in the religion.
The very first Christians did not oppress women. Women had leadership rules, but like really quickly, really early on, women.
Oh yeah, Mary Magdalene was one of
regulated.
them. In fact, that's where the hypothesis of Jesus and Mary were married came from. Is that Mary Magdalene had a very privileged role in
that hypothesis. I actually. It's a legitimate hypothesis to assume that Jesus was married at his age, considering the culture of ancient Israel.
He would not have been respected by.
Yeah, he would not have been respected. He would not have been respected if he was not married.
Where are all these assumptions coming from?
The scripture Slade brought up about how the man is supposed to be the head of the woman. I think that gets misinterpreted to be like misogynistic, but he's talking about how
supposed to be in charge. The reason why the man
no,
is
it's not.
Men build society.
It's not though. But check this.
He's comparing it.
He's comparing it to how
because men build society.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't interpret it that way. I interpret it.
I don't see how
if we were to leave women to themselves, a portion of them would die off.
So, like, because he's comparing it to how if
all men were to die right now, and let's just say you had to start brand new, no food, no stores, no nothing, and you had to build your own house, own place,
you don't think
a lot of you women would just start to die out?
Wait a second.
Wait a minute. I don't quite. It's hard to follow. All right, everybody, chill out. It's hard to follow along when everybody's talking at once. I believe it's Matt. Is that Matt?
I didn't even get to
make
my point. I didn't even get to make my point.
I'm not. So Matt, make your point, and then we'll respond. But it's hard for me to understand what Matt is saying when everybody's talking in on him.
Okay, basically what happens is it's like so many people don't notice this. 80% of the work that actually goes into building society, not paperwork. I'm talking about actually building, getting the wood, going into the ocean, getting the oil, all this is done by men. If men were to die off, if men,
let him finish. Let him finish.
If men were to die off, women would, all of them, I don't think all of them would die, okay? But I do think a portion of them would start to die off because women are more lazy, and there's a whole video done on this. It's called,
you realize that's the dynamic of
women are the ones
Let me finish.
Definitely let him finish, but let me do this. All right, finish.
There's a video called Bear Girls. There's a video called Bear Girls where they leave men and women on islands by themselves, and the women literally almost die. The men are
that's because it's made for TV. It's made for TV. It's made for TV, boss.
All right. So all right. Everybody. We heard him out. Puff go, Marty go. I know Slade was trying to jump in, and then I will pipe in.
So here's the thing. I'm just gonna let you know that. I'm just gonna let you know that only in Western society is that trope that you just laid out there even plausible, because in almost all the other societies that you're going to run into, especially indigenous cultures all around the world, the women are hard. They work from sun up to sundown, and then they sleep a couple hours and they get back up and they do it again every single day. And they're busting their ass to the point where you're going to ask, please let me quit. So that's not even the case. And we see in nature, right? That women that overwhelmingly species have a sexual dimorphism where females are the preferential, or they're either larger, or they're the hunters, or they're the ones that pick the mate. We see this over and over and over again. So only in Western human societies do you see that trope that you just busted out. because you're not going to see it in other societies. In other societies, especially hunter-gatherer types of societies, is both sexes work equally as hard, because if one doesn't work as hard as possible, everything fails.
And Matt,
and that's why I said most of them
the
would die, not all of them.
Amazonian warrior women? You fucking moron.
And that's why I said a portion of women would die, not all of them.
All right. Marty, you was gonna respond.
Yeah, the female is the staple of the species. Of any species, the female is the staple of the species. So, and to kind of echo what Cliff said, yeah, in cultures where first of all, to say that we're more lazy. What fucking planet are you living on where women are more lazy? Are you kidding me?
OnlyFans, Pornhub, they just give out sex for resources.
This guy is an incel.
Yeah, and since like you pay for it, so.
Hold on, you think I'm an incel?
Yeah, I do, based on that fucking answer.
How tall am I?
What the fuck does that matter?
How tall am I? I know the height you girls like. You girls like 6 to 6+. How tall am I?
I don't give a fuck.
I love when a woman calls me like an incel.
Hold on.
She doesn't know I can pound her ass in and fuck her.
Oh, you are definitely an incel, bro.
Hold on.
She doesn't know I can pound her ass in and fuck her whenever I want. She doesn't know.
I highly doubt that's the way you're talking.
Hold on. Before I moved here, my coven, I was in a coven back in New Jersey. My high priest was maybe about 5'1.5". I fucked him stupid. And he was hot as shit. And he was about 5'5", and I'm 5'6" and change. So height doesn't fucking matter. So get the fuck out of here. Just because what? Get out of here with that bullshit.
Look, I'm never going to believe you.
All right.
There's too much video
all right. So,
too much evidence of you girls doing this shit. So I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have seven fucking girls around me, all wanting to suck my dick.
What?
I know what it's like.
That's why you made that statement.
All right. Let me get a handle on the room. All right. So, okay, we have heard a lot. I think Slade, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I can't remember what it was now.
Okay, so we know now that Matt has a Pam Henderson and a Fuck Me Silly at the house, and he uses both of them every night.
All right, so
no, he don't.
My response, Matt, is, so we've had a Western civilization that has demonized women and made them less than, have excluded them from the workforce. We only allowed men to build our societies. So, of course, you can look at the building of society and say, hey, men did that. But it was because men was the patriarchy. Men was the dominant. Had women been allowed to build society, I don't know, maybe we would be using more natural resources. Maybe we would have, liveways through interstates so wildlife could migrate naturally instead of being, dispersed by humanity. I don't know. It seems to me when we look at the infrastructure of the world and what male patriarchy has done with the infrastructure of the world, we've pretty much fucked this world.
Well, it's because men are more concerned with grandiose ideas, where women tend to, they show interest in the smaller things.
Women are pragmatic.
Called compassion and empathy.
And pragmatism.
Yes.
But Marty, he's going to use them both every night, because the first one's to cry with, the second one's to cuddle with. All right.
And I'm sorry, if your response to being an incel is, hey, I'm over 6 feet tall, you're probably a fucking incel. I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm 6'3" and I'm an incel.
Well, then you're retarded.
I'm 6'5".
My dick sucked at 14, 15 years old.
Oh, knock. Whoa. Knock. You have a clear, hard line on slurs, so that's the hard R, bro.
Okay.
I just missed it. What did I miss?
He dropped the hard R. The R. The hard R.
Yeah, all right. You're right, and I can't listen. I kicked him. I can't listen anymore, and I kept. I had to hover my shit over his avatar in case he started porn bombing me, because honestly, after that shit, I expected a porn bomb.
Get the fuck out of here. Women are
What
more
a
lazy.
fucking
Fuck you.
moronic
That guy had big time incel vibes.
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
like, P Mars. P
How well
Mars
do you know
triggered
him,
him.
P. Mars?
I will say this, Matt. You know, I don't run away from conversation. If you want to have a conversation about men's rights and you want to have a conversation about the state of manhood in the modern world, we'll do that one on one. But I'm not going to let you come in here and hijack a conversation that we're having about my conversation with CJ on homosexuality with your incel bullshit. So email me. I will spam that at the bottom of the screen just for you, because I run away from no conversation, my dude, and I think that you are mistaken on just what a woman can do.
I think it was kind of
I think he's a
And
hypocritical.
he
black
won't
killer.
let you disrespect women, you fuck.
It was hypocritical for him to call women lazy and then use a reality TV show as an argument.
Yeah.
I
Well,
remember on
That might have been the craziest.
on OnlyFans. That's why
Might
women are more lazy than men.
Yeah, like it might have been like the craziest little episode that's ever happened on this channel, without a doubt. Like seriously.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about pointing to reality shows, there was this. I was waiting on another show to start, and American Ninja Warrior was on, and a woman, for the first time ever, a woman won that show. You fucking idiot.
You gotta watch
Well,
the original Ninja Warrior, not the American one. The original one.
You know,
from
I could
Japan.
totally argue against his whole
Oh, cool.
reality show bullshit, because, like, at this point, isn't like Survivor mostly women winners?
And I was gonna say also, you know how many episodes my wife has made me sit through of Naked and Afraid, and you know how many times I have seen them have to come in with the medical team and escort the man out while he was crying, and the woman was like, "Well, I guess now I gotta survive by myself."
Yeah, like literally watch alone. The show alone, John Peterson turned me on to it. And a lot of times these women, man, they are lasting. They are doing, like, I would have been a little bitch out day 3. you know what I'm saying?
Like, here's one that's an example. I can't remember what it was. It was a show basically where the guy explored stories of where people got stuck in like crazy, like harrowing situations in like wilderness, right? And they had to get themselves back to society, right? And he was like, I'm going to try to recreate that. And one of them was a lady went on a day trip with her boyfriend, and they were flying over a mountain to go to a lake, right? So she had a skirt on with some fishnet stockings, basically, or whatever, some pantyhose, and some slipper shoes on, or heels, I'm sorry, and a little half cardigan or whatever, right? And the little open throw over that only goes down halfway down their forearm. And so she totally wasn't dressed for any kind of cold weather. Well, the plane crashed into the mountain right at the top. It crashed into the mountain, and her boyfriend died, and the pilot died. And so she could walk down the easy side of the mountain, but it was like a 45 or 50 mile hike to get to the nearest town, right? Well, if she climbed down a sheer 1,000-foot wall, she was only a mile and a half from that town. She climbed down the 1,000-foot sheer wall. He tried to do it with gear, and he was like, I'm going to fall to my doom. Get me out of here. And he was a survival expert. He was like a rock climbing expert.
Dude, there has been one person on this planet that I feared. It wasn't my dad. It was my mom. like I feared that woman. That woman was brutal when she was mad. Everybody wonders where I get it. Yo, I get it from my mom.
Yep, I've seen moms like that. Like my homeboy, he was like, the first time I ever went to his house, we were doing something stupid in his room, and then I heard him get low, and I was like, what? And a gallon of milk went whizzing past my head.
Okay, so can we get back to the LGBTQ plus subject and stop with this?
Oh
Can
yeah,
I
yeah.
just say one more thing before we do?
Go ahead.
There's a lot of women who, as girls, like even if they asked to learn something, the adults would say no and give them a doll and tell them they were going to be mothers when they grew up. Those are the women who will not have a clue how to do things when they're older. It's nothing intrinsic to actually being female. It is simply how people are raised.
But
And that's sad. That's really
Who
sad.
were building the tanks and the missiles for World War II? It
that
was
was
the
Red the
women.
Riveter. Red the Riveter. That
Yep.
remember that was a guy. They just airbrushed a lady on there during the Mewtwo movement. All right, I'm just gonna. It's the secret. It's the secret. It's the Bernstein Bears of the Mewtwo movement. All right.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
as I pointed out in my conversation with CJ, it was actually World War II that really led to this whole gender movement that we've had because
Yes.
we allowed
Yeah.
women to serve, and they had their Army Corps, and they were primarily lesbian women that were able to be just lesbian women, and then they returned after World War II, and they refused to return to those gender norms. And really, that's where all of this started. And it's been a long time, but it's been a fight that we have won. We can't think that we've won it yet. You know, that's the fine line we're walking right now, is because we've won victories, but Trump did a lot of damage. He put 3 really conservative judges on the courts. So far, they proved to be but we're going to see where this ultimately lies, and hopefully Joe Biden will at least get one to kind of counterbalance what's been happening the last several years.
I have a question for you guys. If how do you feel about the the transgender woman in New Zealand who's lifting weights in the Olympics? Do you think that's it's almost like oppressive to women because it's like harder for women to compete with a transgender athlete? Or
well, how does she do in averages? How does she do compared to how she was as a man?
Well, and P. Mars, there's a whole lot of science involved with that conversation that I don't know and I can't represent accurately.
Yeah.
My ultimate position is I fall on the line that trans women are women, and that's how they should be treated.
What I was going to say though is on the oppression thing, right? So I could be wrong, but I swear that it still goes on today because I swear that Marty has before commented on how she has to kind of not share too much at work, right? Because she has a pretty conservative boss, right? Like,
dude, my boss,
and therefore in fear of potentially losing her employment, she has to couch the things that she says or divulges.
Well, sort of. I did for a minute, and then I was kind of like, eh. So my boss knows I'm pagan. The whole everybody knows I'm pagan. Just about more than half of the staff there is LGBT. So my boss is pretty cool with us. However, if my boss wanted to fire me simply for being bisexual, she can, and I don't have a legal leg to stand on. And that's fucked up. Like, that's what a lot of, like, the CJs don't get. Like, we can still be fired simply for not being heterosexual. We can still be denied housing simply for not being heterosexual. What do you not understand about that? It's 2021 and we can still have these problems. And it's mind-boggling that CJ doesn't understand that.
You could move to Australia.
Whoa. I wouldn't be so fast on that one because
ever.
If you move to Australia and you make fun of the wrong politician, then they can send the secret police to have you snatched out of your home.
Is that really? Is that a thing?
Yeah. That just happened. It just happened the last 2 weeks. It's called. I don't like them. It's called the Friendly Geordies or whatever. The guy's assistant. He is a college student. They were ragging on some politician, right? Because the guy was basically making fun of transgender people, right? They shouldn't have protected classes. They shouldn't be protected people. And then he filed a lawsuit against them because they were making jokes about him or whatever. But he didn't let them know. They had to find out from the press, basically. They found out from the open source that they were being sued, and he didn't even send them papers. So when they finally sent him papers, he was like, hey, your boss got our address wrong, and the guy just sped off, right? And so they were like, all right, whatever. Well, they went to the guy's house like 2 days later and was like, yeah, you were harassing this guy, you were stalking him, chasing him through the parking lot, this, that, and the other. And they like busted in the dude's house, pushed his mom down, snatched him up, took him out, and stuffed him in the car.
Oh my
I will
god.
need a source for that one.
I was mind
Haven't heard of it.
blown. Yeah,
Do you
I
know
was
what state
mind
it was
blown.
in?
Let me pull that up real quick for you.
Plus, Australia is the land of no because of the fucking bugs out there.
Oh,
Technically,
come
I
on.
could
We
be
all know
fired.
Australia doesn't really exist.
Technically, you could be
I
fired for
am your
being
imaginary
heterosexual
friend.
too.
And I mean, so
Of course, Slade, I don't mean that. Of course I know fucking
one of the
Australia
things
exists.
one of the
I know
things that
you're
often
taking
get
this stuff.
lost in this conversation about sport is that it is dominantly cis male sports that get all the recognition anyway. And the fact that trans women are able to come out and just be open and free in themselves, to me, I find to be brave to begin with. And as it was pointed out in the chat, and as I said, I can't, I'm not a scientist. There are plenty of people that can go into the science of what goes on when it comes to these sports issues. But I do know that they have to go through this rigorous process of making sure like their hormones are I can't explain it accurately, but it's not just like you can be some cis male pretending to be a trans person and participate in female sports. No, you're a legitimate trans woman that has went through all the processes to be able to participate in these sports. And it is a somewhat level playing field, especially when you consider like cis sports like the NFL that use steroids and openly don't really even care about trying to really test for it. They'll test for marijuana, but they're not going to test for human growth hormone. Or baseball, to where now a lot of your record holders have asterisks next to them because they have taken these enhancement drugs that it's just not a real legitimate sport anymore. Trans people are going through the rigorous process of making it fair.
Yeah, and also you've got trans people, especially if you've got this trans woman and she is a woman, okay? Let's get that straight right off the bat. A trans woman is a woman. You have to think she's been getting estrogen therapy for who knows how long. So it's really not a.
Oops.
People who argue against this shit are arguing that it's like
Unfair
an
advantage.
advantage almost for a trans woman to compete in women's sports. It's not, because they've been having hormone therapy for who knows how long, and that negates whatever other hormones they had in their system, especially if they get it like pre-puberty, which is happening now. Thank goodness. Thank goodness these trans people don't have to go through the wrong puberty anymore. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
some of them do, but we're getting to the point where we understand that we shouldn't make our children go through the wrong puberty, and that's where it lies. It really has nothing to do with you know muscle mass or whatever. It does in a sense, but you know um estrogen is very different than testosterone. And males, unless they have a trans woman, unless she has estrogen hormone therapy, she's gonna have that testosterone going, and she really doesn't want that. you know so I don't know what to tell you. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't
They
understand
also,
science. I'm an idiot, but I know that I read female competitors are saying that it's the trans competitors have an unfair advantage.
Well,
actually
I
a lot
mean,
of
I
them
mean,
do.
some might be, but You know,
Some are, and
I mean, a lot of people are raised in these traditional terms, and all of this stuff is relatively new to society, right? Like we can't forget. Like I spoke about it with CJ. You know, even 10 years ago, the Democratic Party didn't give a fuck about gay people. Nobody did, right? Like it was. This is all brand new, and we're all, it's this clash. There's good people on the other side of this sports argument that I don't think are bigoted or hateful towards trans people. Noel, I can't remember all of his name, but he's like a British YouTuber. He's on the other side of this. I disagree with him, but I don't think he's transphobic necessarily. I'd have to see more shit from him on this topic, on sports. Let me. Yeah, rationality rules. On sports, we are all raised in the traditional sense. All of this is brand new. We're all coming to terms with it. That's what's important about these discussions. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes through it. There's I know of a runner who is a trans woman, and on average, I think it's about men are on average 10% faster than women. When she transitioned, she was already a really good runner as a male. When she transitioned, she actually became 10% slower. So exactly for her personal thing, in line with the averages. But of course, she's still a really good runner, and she still competed. But she wasn't the fastest woman on the planet by a long stretch, and
yeah, I know. Really I can't remember her name, but there's this one MMA fighter that these arguments often go to. And yeah, she won a couple big fights, but she got her ass kicked in a lot of fights too, and they never show that part,
No, and the woman who complained about her, she had beaten that woman, the trans woman, more often than not in previous fights. It was just in the one that was in an actual competition where it mattered that she lost, and she whinged about it, even though she'd beaten that woman. That's you got to know the backstories to these, and when you do, all of them fall apart.
Yeah. There's always a lot of context. There's always bias involved, and that's the thing. This is all new, and for CJ to say, well, that was in my grandfather's lifetime, like, bitch, most of the world hates gay people. What are you talking about right now?
Yeah, this is not a new thing.
Really?
Pride was not all that long ago.
I thought gay people are pretty accepted now.
It is becoming more and more accepted,
but we still have work to do.
But god damn it, it's not. Like people still get kicked out of their fucking homes every day. You know.
The day that
I mean, we're not okay. Let's not talk about the gays right now, even though I know this is about gays, and I say that in, I love my gays, but
I'm like choking.
Okay, but
I was just like,
let's talk about
when cis people say the gays,
okay?
it's kind of like let's
the gays. Let's talk about Telltale for a minute. His daughter had her constitutional rights violated by this fucking teacher in Virginia, preaching to her in a public school setting.
Who?
Teacher.
Yeah.
Preaching to her in a public school setting.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Telltale.
Telltale. And they were planning on moving to New York anyway, but they had to move it up because they really got run out of town.
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that. That started a couple of years ago, no?
Yeah, I mean, it was fucking, and this is what happens when people decide that they want to run over other people's rights. Yeah. This is what happens. We are not talking about gay rights. We're not talking about atheist rights. We are talking about human rights.
Exactly. Yes. And that's the thing we've got to hammer home is when we're fighting for equality every single time, and it's been going on for so long, it's really hard to point a finger when it started. But when you're talking about equality, you're talking about the equality of all human beings. You're talking about humanism. And as I pointed out to CJ, sometimes we as a society get to dictate what qualities of a human being we determine to be bad, evil, whatever label you want to put on it. Pedophilia would be an example of this. Rape would be an example of this. Murder, so when dealing with human beings, it's got to be about the humanity of that person, not about whatever bias or bigotry you're bringing into it, right? And that's like been my biggest problem here on this channel, especially with right wingers. I have a lot of assumptions. I got to stop bringing my assumptions to the table, and just start listening and responding. And I think that's the problem with everything. And once we can stop doing that and we can just start listening and responding, maybe we'll actually start getting somewhere. Because how long have we been discussing this shit? How long has this shit been an issue? And it really shouldn't even be an issue anymore. If you're a good human being, if you're contributing to society, do whatever the fuck you want. That's freedom. Right?
Yeah.
Really, P. Mars?
Well, I hear what you're saying, Knock, but let me tell you something. Sorry. I had to, Knock.
That was a joke.
Really?
Well, I'm fairly certain, P. Mars, you are an incel, but that's for you.
Oh yeah, I am. I am
get
an
over.
incel. That's not. That part isn't the joke.
Yeah.
Are you really? Are you being serious?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not really a part of the community, but I'm like technically, I just I'm a loser. I can't get laid or whatever. But I'm okay with it.
Well, at least you're honest about it.
I have Christ, so I don't need sex.
See, I wasn't just talking shit for the last 2 years.
Neither was I.
It was the one time one of your insults was accurate. Yes.
P. Mars, being an asexual, if you are an asexual, it's nothing to be ashamed about. I'm an asexual.
Well, there's a
straight up, dude.
And incels hate women because women don't want to fuck them.
I'll tell you straight up.
Just choose not to have sex with people in general.
I'll tell you straight up.
I don't.
About 2 years ago, P. Mars, I made the decision that I always had this age rule, 26, and I'm like 43 now. I made this decision, that I'm just not going to continue having these very brief relationships with young women, because I found it to be this power dynamic that I just didn't find consistent, right? So for like 2 years, I haven't slept with anybody, but I don't consider myself an incel. I consider myself a person that just decided I'm going to stop sleeping with younger women just because they find what I say to be attractive. It was a personal choice, but to admit to being, an incel, maybe just not part of the community, I think could be like your first step, because I've accused you of it for such a long time. Now you're coming out. And,
I have admitted that before. But I'm not an incel in the sense where I like hate women and stuff. I don't hate women.
So you're definitely not black pilled. I don't even think I've said that about you. I've never gotten the black pill vibe.
And I might be critical of women, but I'm also critical of men. I think modern man is pretty pathetic.
Yeah. I think I've seen you talk shit about dudes as well.
I'm critical of both sexes.
Because from what you just described, you don't sound like an incel. You sound like a volcel. So like you made the choice. You're not out there just chasing chicks down, trying to get them as drunk as possible at the bar. Hopefully they'll make a mistake. That's what that guy Matt sounded like.
My thing is, I'm extremely leftist. I have these like really weird things that people find interesting, but not people my age. You know, like people my age are conservative fucking Christians that are like, this dude is Satan. You know, and I just I made the choice. It was actually a conversation with Ali back in the day that really like just made me kind of like think about it. And it's like these power dynamics are important. I am a very much older dude than these women are. And you know, I have much more experience to draw on. You know, like I don't even have to be consciously doing it to subconsciously talk about things that I think that are going to suck them in. And honestly, I'm really anybody wants to be with because I'm such a OCD motherfucker. You know, I mean, it's not fair for anybody to honestly be in a relationship with me.
On that note, I gotta bounce, guys.
Yeah. Have a good night, Puff.
No, I've known both men and women who really enjoy the older partners for the fact that they've got more life experience and they enjoy, they enjoy getting to see that sort of thing, and I don't know if the woman actually wants that with you, and she knows what she's getting into, she knows it's not a relationship.
Well, yeah, like I've never been in a non-consenting relationship, but the power dynamics of it, like just my knowledge of life and how life works, and just subconsciously even being able to manipulate a situation better than she can. It's a conscious decision that I made. Now there's a woman out there my age somewhere. I'll find them eventually. You know,
fellow OCD.
Yeah.
Preferably find her before you're both too old.
Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully, I still got a good few years left in me. You know, I might be legless at some point, so hopefully, she'll see past that.
That would suck. Yeah.
We're only in our 40s, Max. Stop it.
Yeah. Have you found out that? I guess it's not a discussion for open things, but I was just about to say, have you found out what's up with your legs?
Knock, you there? Oh, he's muted.
Sorry, I was talking to my kid. What's up?
That's all right. It's probably not the right question for this anyway. I was just going to say, have you found out what's up with your legs and how to prevent it?
Well, not yet. Honestly, so. It's January 8th, I believe. I see my foot doctor again, and I'm going to find out if I have my surgery. I go to see my vascular surgeon on Wednesday. I'm going to show him all these holes in my hand, so maybe he'll actually believe me that something is seriously wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the American medical system. I don't have the best insurance, so it's as much as I've done demanding, I think they're just trying to appease me with drugs. You know, it's to that point. I'm not honestly sure. So I will see what they say on Wednesday, and then on January 8th or July 8th, I will see what they say, and then I might be raging. You know, I'm not sure yet.
Oh, good luck to you all.
Well, you know, I'll show you. Like, so my hand.
My gosh!
All those holes are just, you know, blood not being able to pump, and they just burst out of my hand, and they tell me nothing we can do about that. I'm like, we live in 2021.
Why don't you take a fucking blood sample? You fucking idiot!
I have been to the doctor so many times. Like it has been 4 months of doctor's appointments.
It's a circulation thing. They can put a dye thing into your blood and scan that. But of course, being American, that'll probably cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Whereas I can get it for free because I know I had it recently. So I've been off the scene for a little while. I was in hospital with an operation and stuff, and had to have my stomach put back in the right position and all that.
Whoa!
Fun times. Yeah. There's a couple of months on like liquid diet and then mush stuff. And, yeah.
Wow.
So I just got to ask, was Matt
free.
Howell?
No. It wasn't. You could tell by his voice.
I didn't think so. I didn't think that was his voice, but
Plus, he was cursing. Matt Powell don't curse.
Wait, what was your question?
I was wondering who Matt was.
Oh no, that definitely was not Matt Powell.
No.
Matt would come in either with his camera
was...
on or with the avatar. Everybody would know because he's too narcissist to ever go by anything but Matt Powell.
Yeah, Matt Powell official.
He was cursing, and Matt Powell doesn't talk like that.
And he's got a problem with us going by pseudonyms like the Raging Atheist or Lisa for Truth or like what do you think we should? You think we should use our real fucking names? You fucking moron! You
Well, and honestly, my real name is out there. My autobiography. I haven't settled on the name yet, but I'm fairly certain I'm going to call it Becoming Rage.
Can I get a free copy of that?
How I became an atheist. That's going to be the title, and it's going to be titled Ronnie Tate II. You know, and that's like one of the small gifts that Smokey Saint ever gave me was an out to start using my real name. And over on my other channel, the Godless One, yeah, I'm Ronnie. I'm the Godless One. I'm Ronnie. I'm gonna get away from that Native American name and start using that Christian name, so people can't say I'm hiding.
Yeah. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. So I mean, I've been calling you Knox for
It's still really weird to hear my real name on the internet. I'm getting used to it myself.
You know, when you tell people you want us to stop calling you Knock or Nakasuchi, that's when I'll call you otherwise. So.
Well, I'll never mind either one. But yeah, I've got to get used to the Ronnie. Nakasuchi, that's a name. That's a real name that I go by.
Yeah, it's not hiding.
Yeah, it's my Native American name. But you know, hearing my Christian name, that's gonna take me getting used to it. But that's a me thing, you know.
I mean, do you like your Christian name well enough?
I'll respect you either way, man. You just tell me what you want to be called.
I'm not going to publish a book under the Raging Atheist. or Nakasuchi. I'm just not going to do it. It's going to be, when I go to the bookstore, it's going to be my goddamn name. You know?
Yeah.
Well, can I get a free copy?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll make you one of the people, Lady Midnight, because I've got just a tad bit. I'm never actually done in the editing process, but there's gonna be a moment very soon where I send it out to people to give me an impression, tell me what I can fix. I'll make you one of those people.
Nice. I hear a cat.
That's Merlin.
And I've already got book 2 outlined. Book 2 is actually like the YouTube experience, and it's going to be like all the crazy conversations and photographs and shit like that. Book 1 is just going to be straight autobiography of how I became an atheist. Book 2 is going to be the Raging Atheist. You know.
Are you going to have a book 3? Because I smell a series.
Well, book 3 will be an actual autobiography, and it'll be an overall life thing that will. If I'm still doing YouTube, I'll put it on the channel, but it's going to be more of an attempt to hit that literary world again. I think I've lived in a very unique life, if not a life that people want to live. You know what I'm saying? So that's the stuff of legends. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, no two people's lives are the same, so I would say everyone lives unique lives.
Yeah, but some try to be as conformative as possible.
Yeah, true that. But I mean, I gangbanged. I was a homophobe, racist, fucking KKK possibility at one point. There's some uniqueness there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but it doesn't. Never mind.
I mean, all right. So just my prison experience alone, very few people have experienced it. Because I didn't go in there and be a white dude. I went in there and I fucking gangbanged. And we have Brett Keane here. He must have ended his stream. So.
Oh, Brett Keane is here?
What up, Brett Keane?
Speaking of gang banging, what's up, Brett?
I know.
What the fuck is up with Brett King?
Every time I bring it up, so they cherry pick this one little part where Smokey, because I mean, the context is crazy, but they get me to say, yeah, it was a black gang, and now that's the troll.
I thought you said that.
Oh yeah, I definitely said it because the context of the conversation demanded it. You know, it was a conversation with Smokey that happened a long time ago. I highlighted it on my channel, but they cut out that little part. And yes, I was a part of a black gang.
Really, Merlin? Jeez.
You know, because white gangs are much different. I'm just saying. Aryan Nation owns most prisons.
I don't know anything about that life.
Oh yeah, I mean the pressures of a white man going into prison is you've pretty much got three choices. You can join the Aryan Nation. You can try to walk solo. They usually get raped, and you can join a gang.
That's what my husband was saying about Derek Chauvin. That he's gonna if you don't click up with somebody soon, he's probably not gonna make it out of prison. And I was like, oh shit. My husband goes, I hope he likes dick.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's the option pretty much for everybody. That's the system of incarceration that we have in this country. We you know, have you ever read the book Dune?
No, I'm not into sci-fi.
All right, so
I tried reading it. I didn't really get much into it.
Try again. Get past the first book; it's brilliant. So it comes up with this concept of harsh conditioning, right? And so the planet Arrakis is this planet of really harsh conditioning, and it breeds this society of warriors, right? So that's what prison is. It's this very hard conditioning. It's not rehabilitation. So for me, as an instance, I was a 17-year-old kid that got manipulated by some Mexican cartels, and I went to prison. And once I got to prison, I learned how to be a criminal, because that's the system. You go in there, you're not being rehabilitated from your crimes, but you're learning actually how to commit bigger crimes. So I started, you know, like I said, you have three choices. I chose to join the gang. I rejected the Aryan Nation that approached me because at that point I just wasn't a fucking racist anymore. So I joined the gang, and that's pretty much your way to survive as you get through it. There's no real process of improving yourself. The only thing you're doing is committing worse and worse actions just to get by, just to skate through.
I wouldn't join a gang, and then I'd stop wiping my butt after I poop, so no one would rape me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that
Someone get up on that.
I'm pretty sure that wouldn't stop people from doing that. More people.
Yeah, that would actually pretty much put a target on you. You know, like, you know, like what I did. I went fucking crazy, man. I showed everybody they didn't want to fuck with my big ass. That's what I did. Yeah.
I
he
don't know
muted
much
himself.
about prison, but I do know that we have a fucking problem in America that like nobody else has. No,
we
no
lock
other
up.
country has.
We lock up more of our citizens than any other country on the world, and again, you're putting a lot of people in a situation to where they're learning how to operate criminality better than they had before, and that creates a system of in and out, which perpetuates the industrial complex behind it. It becomes a for-profit system where you're pretty much banking on these people coming back because they learned bigger and better crimes while they were on the inside.
The issue is there's the privatized prison system, right? There are a lot of countries that they have like they have like public prisons like Norway, right? They have like I love I love Norway's prison islands. Okay, just for the pure fact that you get that you have a choice between a PS4 or an Xbox 360. I don't know whether they updated that. Like seriously, prison in Norway is like a fucking vacation. I mean, yeah, you can't leave the island, but you can leave your room. You know what I mean? Like it's just if you have you have you looked at the Nordic prison? It's like a hotel.
Yeah, and a lot of countries get it better than us. And Haley Karma, sure. The link is in the description. StreamYard is being stupid and won't let me post the link. But yeah, feel free. Link is in the description. I'm still getting used to having these teeth missing. Like, I can't pronunciate shit right, and it fucking drives my OCD crazy.
Would they just fall out? Or did you get in a fight?
No, I
Oh,
Dude, stop!
no, I had them removed
Speed!
because.
Straight rage!
Oh my
Rage!
god damn it, motherfucker.
God, wow.
That was hot.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Got me
Yeah,
talking, I didn't even see it. Thank you for screaming. Holy
Yeah, like-
shit. Oh my.
You know what?
Damn it.
You know what? You know what? You
We
know what?
didn't need to see that.
I'm glad. Well, it was actually kind of hot, but it doesn't matter. YouTube sucks. You know what? I'm just glad it wasn't Brett or P Mars this time. They've been good.
Oh my fucking god. Like, I was literally talking and right perfect timing for that shit. And that's literally only the second time it's happened. The first time was with Brett Keane. What's up, Brett?
Oh yeah, I know. I'm like
now I'm not gonna let you into the room unless I see your face. At this point, typical.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, I honestly wonder who that was. It's maybe just some random.
I got a lot of haters, man.
You know what? You know what?
Me.
You know what? It was P Mars. That's my canon. It was P Mars. Even though
My
he's
brain needs a bath now.
They didn't
looked
show
a
me
lot
their
like-
face. I banned them.
But it looked exactly like Smokey's dick.
How would you know what Smokey's dick looks like?
You know. You know how I know.
No,
Wow, God, like, man, that took too long for me to get that person off the screen, right?
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah,
Like,
it
Rage,
did.
what are you
It totally
doing?
did.
Like,
Holy
what the
shit!
Fuck.
You
Jesus,
get
not-
comfortable. We've been going for almost 2 hours. You get comfortable, and
Yeah,
then
speed.
someone.
God damn it, Rage. This stream is fucked. We might as well nuke it, or like edit it or something. I don't fucking know.
Well, at least it wasn't Brett King this time.
YouTube
Yeah, that's
makes
what I
it
said.
so hard to edit it. So what I have to do now is unlist it. Like the process. Oh my fucking god, it sucks, dude. It sucks. That's unfortunate that people do that. Like, man, I've never had the inclination to do something like that. You have to be a piece of shit, and it makes it hard to be a humanist. We've got 8 minutes. I'm gonna end it at 11. God damn it, that sucks, man. That really sucks.
What's wrong, Raging?
Pretty sad. Imagine that being like the highlight of your life, doing that to a stream.
Somebody just porn bombed the stream. Like, now I've got to do all this
Smokey just showed
extra
his
fucking
dick.
work.
Someone did what with their what? Hey,
They showed
Mars.
their dick. Some guy whipped out his dick and it looked like Smokey's dick.
Oh.
Again, how the fuck?
Now wait a minute, Mars. How do you know what smoking stick looks like?
That's what I want to know.
That's what I said.
Because I've been sucking it for months.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, damn. That's fucking rough.
Yeah, now Smokey's an enemy of UP Mars. You spend all that time, like, stroking his ego. Now you're just like, fuck Smokey. I'm going to make an enemy because he hates that shit.
Now wait a minute,
I'm
Raging.
just
He's
joking
done
around.
stroking egos. He said he's stroking something else now.
Everyone was accusing me of smoking or sucking Smokey's dick for like months. So,
Well, I just accuse you of stroking his ego.
well, same thing.
No, two very different things.
No. Rage. It might as well be the same thing.
No, it's two. One's a penis, one's an ego. Two different things.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm not gonna argue this point. It's stupid.
Speaking of which, have Steve and Matt come out of the closet yet?
Who?
Steve and Matt. Steve fucking Anderson and Matt Powell.
Yeah, I like it's so unfortunate that I gotta like unlist the stream now and get it through my Premiere and block out that one piece of shit. I mean, like why are human beings human beings? That's where we'll fucking end on. Why are humans humans?
I mean, why are you?
It's all because Adam and Eve ate the apple, and they had.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Rage,
Not
can I
that
offer-
crap again.
Can I offer you a suggestion on how to protect yourself from that shit?
What up? Sure.
Just make you a bottom overlay where you can see everybody else up top, but it closes at the bottom. Just drag the prick down and below.
Yeah, well, if I was using OBS right now, it would have been easier. I can have like a little block, and maybe that's another reason to go back to OBS. I know the writer of my script.
StreamYards.
Yeah, OBS will make it a lot easier. And yeah, from now on, I'm gonna have me a little block on the squares here, to where you come in and do that shit. I'll just block you, and you can't. Nothing's gonna be seen. And I can take as long as I need to figure out how to kick a motherfucker from the studio, because usually I don't have to do that shit, and it took me a minute to figure it out.
Well, StreamYards, you can put it in, and in 5 seconds, boom, have it right up there. That's what I do.
I haven't figured out how to do that with StreamYard.
Go to a program called, and it's free. You can do it on a browser called Lunapic. And just simply make like a raging atheist banner for the bottom, and then green CGI it at the top, so the green will be transparent when you use it.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
So anyway, thanks, Rage, for having me on. Everybody, check out my channel. Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great conversation until that shit happened, for sure.
Well, it was a great dumpster fire too. I gotta say, that was a great dumpster fire.
We had a couple of them.
I mean, we had a goddamn fucking misogynist.
Yeah, we had an incel. You don't get better than that. We got to talk about gay pride. We got to represent allyship. So I am happy, and with that, I am gonna end this stream. I did say 11 o'clock was my hard stop. I don't have my Patreon screen ready, so I'm going to end the stream, and then I'm going to unlist the stream, and tomorrow I'm going to have to fix it and get it back up. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Brett, for coming in. Thank you, Lady Midnight, P. Mars, Slay Chimera, Marty, Jay. I know I'm forgetting people. That's going to happen. Everybody that came in, great stream until the porn bombing. Unfortunate that human beings are human beings sometimes. Y'all have a good night.